Everyone, welcome. Today I'm going to show you some new fabrics that are in my shop, so I'm quite excited about them. They're knits, 2 new knits, and if you follow me on Instagram, it'd be great if you would do that. This is a spandex knit, which is my favorite knit to make t-shirts out of. It's 95% cotton and 5% spandex. So it has a really nice stretch to it. So it's a 4-way stretch. And I find with spandex it has a nice recovery. So I think they call this a 10 ounce. It's all on the website. I will put the links below. So this is just black, and I have some. I washed some for this project I'm going to make with you today. So you can see that it has nice drape, nice stretch, and it's, I think, perfect weight for t-shirts. So today, and the second one that I have to share with you, this is 100% cotton, and it's a printed knit. Now, let's see, which way does it go? This is the piece that I cut and washed. I cut 1 meter off. I'm trying to find the salvages here. Really fun plaid. It's a black and white, or I guess you'd say it's white and black. So, and it's 100% cotton. I don't know, is it see-through? I said it was opaque. You can kind of see, not really. I would call that opaque. It's definitely not sheer. So it has a nice drape to it. And this is washed, so the print is on there really nice. There's the other side. But because this is a cotton knit, it is definitely going to shrink. So I quite like this. I think that's nice. So possible patterns for this would be, this is a good pattern because you have short sleeve, you have the Henley version, and long sleeve t-shirt. So today we're going to use you can use any t-shirt pattern. You can use this one or another one, doesn't matter. And I'm going to show you my inspiration picture as soon as I get my tablet here, which is covered in fingerprints. Oh, we're getting a reflection. So we're going to use the plaid for this accent right here. So I'm just going to take note of where the seam lines are on my inspiration picture. Oh, I'm getting really bad glow from the light. Oh, and there you see all my fingerprints. There, that's a little bit better. And there's some lines sewn across the t-shirt here. So we're just doing a black one and then using the plaid for just this part right here. Of course, there's all kinds of options that you could use to make t-shirt. You could do the whole top and whatever, it's a great way to use up some scraps to make your t-shirt a little less boring maybe. The next step is I am going to trace my, you like my new backdrop? It's, well, it's not new. I made this a long time ago. It's a 9-point patch on point. It was actually had 2 different blocks, but I didn't like it, so this is what it ended up like. It's not quilted yet. Step is to find your favorite t-shirt pattern and trace the front, because we're gonna cut it and add seam allowance, and super easy. Anybody can do this. Now, according to the picture that I have here, my inspiration picture, it looks like that's right around the, and just to make things less complicated, I'm going to use the bottom of the armhole on the pattern to draw my line right straight across. Now, if you were doing this to a woman's t-shirt, you probably would want to measure from the top of your shoulder just above your bust line, so you don't get that line right straight across your bust line. So this might be a little bit higher, but it's hard to tell. I'm going to go with, I'm going to try this. So I'm going to go 1/2 inch below the seam line, or the armhole. Here, there's my 1/2 inch mark, 1/2 inch mark. And now from picture here, it looks like it's a little bit more than halfway. So I'm gonna fold that, and there's my fold line. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm doing the wrong side. Okay, here's my, oh, yeah, I want it to go this way. So I'm going to fold that down. There's the little mark. There's halfway. So I'm going to take, there, this might be better for you to see. So I'm going to draw a line diagonally across here. I went a little above because you have your seam allowance. So when I cut this, I'm going to add seam allowance to this after I cut it, and I'm going to have to add, so now I'm going to have 3 pieces. So here's 1, 2, and then 3. So 3 pieces. Hopefully those red lines are showing up. Hopefully you can see that. There. So that's all I'm going to do, and add seam allowance to each piece, because I'm going to sew all these pieces together. So your seam allowance is a personal thing, whatever you're used to. This pattern uses 1/4 inch seam allowance that I'm using. Some t-shirt patterns are 3/8. It's entirely what you're used to doing. That way you will remember, and I would mark it on the pattern so you know, especially if you're going to use 2 different ones. Now, just to make my life easier, I'm going to use a 1/2 inch, and that way I have margin. There's a little bit of air that I can fluctuate, just because that's the seam allowance that I'm used to sewing. And then I'll sew the rest of the t-shirt with 1/4. Hopefully that wasn't confusing. So you extend your grain line, because you can't cut this piece on the fold. You'll have to cut that open, and I would make sure, if you want this to be on this side, to cut it facing up, because you only need one piece, and then this piece where it's right, the seam line is right straight across. This is my grain line, just so you can keep that straight. So don't forget about your grain line. Even though it's a t-shirt, you still want to have everything going the right way. That way it doesn't twist on you. So alright, so I'm matching up all my lines, and Remy's here to help, as always. Alright, see her tail. Okay. So this is good because we have all these lines and grain lines to match up, and I'm going to even up these ends. So I'm just going to chop them off. So there we have it. I need a piece of paper in there. So obviously using a smaller seam allowance is probably better, but I prefer to use a 1/2 inch just because that's what I am used to. So grain line, we can line that up, and that's how our pieces will go together. Top of my front of my t-shirt right here, as you can see, this likes to roll towards the right side. So in the picture there is it's like there's pin tucks. So I am just going to use a twin needle and sew along these lines to see if that adds some texture. It's just something I'm going to try. So, and I know this is my top because I marked the grain line, so I could line up those 2 little notches right there. So let's sew this baby together and see what it looks like. So there's our insert sewn in. I top stitched that and I think it made it bubble, so that may not have been a very good idea. Anyway, I have my interfacing and fluff everywhere. I sewed that on there for the, I just use little strips of leftover interfacing, cut it into strips and use it for t-shirts and such instead of buying special elastic. So, and this is what this side looks like. I serged it, pressed it, and I top stitched that down. So now we're going to sew the shoulders together, the back to the front, insert the sleeves on the flat, and yes, this is how the top stitching turned out on here. Oh my heavens, the cat was here and she just everywhere. So here's I think that turned out okay. I like the look of that. It's not like pin tucks or anything because I didn't make this wider, but I do like the effect of that all by itself. So let's finish sewing this t-shirt together because now it'll go together like any other t-shirt would. Just continue on, It was just a matter of sewing this part in. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little tutorial. Well, it was more like a demonstration. I think it worked. I think my strip was a little bit wider than the inspiration picture, but I believe I got the job done. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I think there's like a million different ways that you can add some interest to a t-shirt and use up some scraps. You could sew a bunch of them together and you could do all kinds of things. So it was a fun project to do. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.